What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're here for the first time, please do us a favor, give this video a thumbs up, as well as subscribe and hit the bell notification down below. It really supports the channel, guys, so that more people can be able to view it. If you have any questions or queries, please do comment down below or hit me up on my social media. I'll list the links, I'll list them here. Either you can hit me up on Vukasakhecapital or at Masonabe Chobonga on Instagram and Facebook. We're trying to build this community whereby everybody has an opportunity to share as well as express themselves. If you have any idea or something that you want assistance in implementing it, that's what I'm here for. We're trying to build together, which actually brings me to the title of the video. The name of the title obviously is Building Together an Ecosystem. On this channel, we're going to be starting a new series whereby we're going to be talking about how to build together. Now, a lot of channels can motivate you and tell you you can do it and everything, but what I like to talk about is something that you can actually go implement. I like implementation because I believe that's the actual power of information. Just having information is useless on its own unless you do something with it. And that's what you're trying to encourage everybody who is listening or everybody who's like basically around you. Even if you can't do it, but then maybe someone next to you can actually help you in doing that. Which is why the purpose of us doing all of this, as the title suggests, is hustle and motivate. We're trying to encourage people to start in their hustle as well as to motivate them to keep going and pushing and striving for bigger and better things. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, the first thing we all need to understand is what exactly is an ecosystem. This is a term usually used in biology, which basically describes how everything is interconnected and how everything works for the benefit of the whole. Now, the way we apply this into business and economics, especially in finance, is basically how suppliers, distributors, markets, and basically buyers and sellers, how everything interconnects and works for the benefit of everybody involved. The reason why I believe this is so very much important is because South Africa comes from a very dark history where obviously during apartheid, everything was separated. There was classism, racism, tribalism, and basically everything was split into groups. So the ecosystems of working together, there were barrier walls in between us so that we couldn't be able to work as a whole, which I believe was very detrimental for our growth and especially as a thinking of our people. Now, it wasn't just with us. The toxic traits that have come up as a result of this is a very individualistic mindset. When BE and economic empowerment strategies, affirmative action strategies started coming up, one of the problems, I'm not going to say it's the only problem, there's a lot of other problems, but one of the problems is that it took one person or a group of people, put them in a very high management, high powerful, high paying situation. So basically it took something that was very raw in its ability, a very intelligent person or a very motivated person, and put them in a very competitive environment where everything works for them, where there's a system already in place. So you take a graduate or a person who has a small business in a community, and then you give them access to a lot of things. You give them access to a market that's already established. You give them shares into a company that's already functioning. You give them basically all the tools that they need to thrive. But the problem is that you skipped a step of growth in there. You took someone with a little bit and gave them a lot. When they get to that position, they know only this. They know the extremes, extremely bad and extremely good. They don't know the in-between. That growth period has been taken out of them, which I believe is very important for anything growing. Like if you grow a vegetable and you just pump it up with steroids and whatever, no, those are animals. But basically you pump up with nutrients, supplements, and all these things just to make it grow quicker. So in a matter of something would have taken 2 to 3 months, you make it grow in a week. That thing is not that good for you, you know? It's missed that growth middle that it needed to become established, as well as to become more affirmative and impactful in how it benefits you as the user. So In our history, we've had a system where it took people and gave them everything based on their education or based on their background or based on their potential, which I'm not taking anything away from them. I think that if you're able to thrive when you move from nothing to everything, kudos to you. You're a very impressive person. But there's that growth period that's been taken away from a person like that. As a result, that's why we have a very expanded gap. There's no middle class in South Africa. We have a very huge, I'm not gonna say lower class because that's terrible. But you have very people who are in a very poverty-stricken environment where they have basically nothing. And then you have a lot of people who are very, very rich and wealthy, and they control a lot, but there's a fewer number of them. In my history, well, not in my history, in my understanding, the larger this middle gap is in a society, the more productive it becomes. Because most of the people who pay taxes and contribute to the economy are not the super rich, and it's not the super poor. They've got nothing to give, and these people have a lot to lose. So if there's fewer number of them, nothing can actually happen. The way to grow a system and a society, in my humble opinion, is to grow the middle class. More people can be able to contribute to society. People can live a good lifestyle. I'm not talking about the mansions and the fancy cars and all these things. I'm talking about a nice, good home, which is safe and secure, a clean street with sanitary roads and systems of function, where the transport system is effective to get them to work and back to school and everything, a good schooling and education system, a very conducive environment where the average person in the country is good and productive. That's in my humble opinion. I'm not saying I'm correct or I know everything. It's just my understanding is that we don't need super rich the same way we don't need super poor. We need a good system that everybody benefits from. And that's where the topic comes in. We don't have ecosystems in South Africa that are effective for everybody. It's only the select few who have access to some things or some networks or some means of trade and distribution. Now, I want to make an example out of a couple of groups of people that I believe have been able to implement this in history. And I don't mean this in a very racist or I'm not trying to separate people and like make it about like it's a generalization. This is just an assessment on a group of people in history who've been able to do something out of a bad situation. People like the Jewish people. Jewish people have been very industrial because they came up with the banking system, if you didn't know. Remember the play Shylock, Merchant of Venice, where Shylock was the Jew in that storyline, and he basically was lending out with interest. In the history of banking, back then in Venice, it was a very Catholic system. So if you're a Christian, the scriptures are against a person lending with interest. It's against the law. So because it was a very Catholic-led system, the system of banking of lending with interest was against the law. You could get killed or prosecuted. But the Jews, I hate using that term, I'm so sorry. But the Jewish people, they had another way of doing it. In their scripture, it is also forbidden to lend with interest. But I believe it's in Genesis or something, where they refer to that scripture and say you cannot lend to a brother with interest. So in their interpretation is that if you're not a fellow Jew, then I can charge you interest, you know? So they use that system. They would lend to the Christians with interest. So the society itself was very separating. So that's why the Jewish people were very much prosecuted and despised, because they were making money out of doing this. And the other society, Christians, were very, they felt like they were being ostracized. They felt like they were being, used for the benefit of others. But anyway, they created a system amongst themselves in how to trade and work together to create an ecosystem. That's the example I want to make today, is that they turned a bad situation into something they can work with each other. Now, if we bring it here in South Africa, I can make a good example because if you're in South Africa, you usually know that these three group of people have been very, very, very successful in how they create their own ecosystems. I'm talking about the Indian people here in Durban, from creating community shops to creating supply chains where they open shops and shops sell to each other in a community. So they'll be able to trade and charge each other a lower interest or a lower rate of expense because they knew that this is going to happen forever. They wanted to establish relationships because back in the apartheid system, they couldn't like trade with the white people. So they were very much community based. And then you have people who are like the Muslim people. Muslim people have even a banking system, Al Barak Bank or something, which operates under their own guidelines. It satisfies the South African laws, but it operates in its own boundaries, meaning that it lends to its fellow people. It operates in encouraging business and it funds startups. And if anyone comes into the country and is also in their faith and has a business plan that is beneficial for everybody, they fund that. They've created a system for themselves which encourages entrepreneurship and involving them in their established ecosystem, because there are other fellow Muslims who are also doing this. So if you have a business plan to service one of them, they just slot you in. Imagine a circle, and then they just come in and fit you into that circle where you join the supply chain. And then another group of people are the Chinese. Now the Chinese have been doing this on a global scale. They've been creating networks for trade. What they do is they go to each place, they send their own people there, these people establish a network of functioning and working, and then they order from back home at a lower price, at a lower rate, to compete and outprice their competitors in the local market. But they price it in such a way that they first go there, check out the market, see what are the average prices, then report back and say, okay, now we need to bring in this country, let's bring it to this price. So we can make a profit, but we can basically cut out everybody else. So everybody will end up coming to a China mall. That's a lot. I'm sorry. I had to go through that. So these group of people all share a commonality whereby they were oppressed at some stage in their life. But they've been able to create a system whereby they work together and create an ecosystem where there is a supplier, a producer, a distributor, so a person who makes it, a person who transports it, a supplier who's a wholesaler who makes the bulk of it, and then creates a market where they can be able to sell it to people. And then that people, they also have a certain trade route on the side where they can supply other people at a larger scale, on a global scale. Because remember, the people you're selling to are not just your neighbors. You're trying to sell it to the country. Once you're done with the country, you go to the continent. And once you're done with the continent, you go to the global sphere. You see the gradual increase in productivity. You don't jump from selling in a neighborhood, in a township, and then try to sell it to America. You have to go through the stages of growth. And that requires a certain mindset, a certain training, because you understand patience and you have to take your time with it. And that's why in the beginning I talked about, I think the system of affirmative action in BE failed because it skipped that natural stage of growth. It took it out of the equation. So if us as a people can be able to do that, create the system where we grow as a whole and be able to implement a network amongst ourselves, then I believe we can do a lot, guys. Okay, now I feel like I've been talking for a while. A lot of you now will probably be thinking, okay, Masonabe, I hear you, but my guy, what exactly can we do? And remember, I said the purpose of this video was for everybody who listens to it to go do something about it. Here's my idea. Whatever idea that you have, we take basically a strategy or a portion of the strategy from each of these people and do the same thing. We do what the Jewish people did, where we identify our own people with potential in our communities. Don't try to be global. Try to stay communal in the beginning. The first stage, try and identify people that you can make something that they will want. So in your own neighborhood, identify the things that people will basically pay money for. This is something called market research. You have to know what you have to make that's going to sell to the people. And then we move on to the second stage, whereby now you're trying basically to create a system where what you make is efficient and effective. Something that's going to not cost you too much and that's not going to kill you. Thankfully, now we are in the fourth industrial revolution or whatever, where everything is technological, everything is online, everything is comparative. So now we have a platform whereby you can get all the research you need and you can be able to get it at a lower price and you can be able to help market yourself to everybody. There's platforms on social media that you can post on Facebook, Instagram, and basically to register and open a company in South Africa is 175 rands. Guys, it's it, 50 rands for the name reservation, 125 rands for the MOI, which is a Memorandum of Incorporation. So you just save up 175 bucks. You basically save up a couple of more bucks. I would suggest at least 700 to 1,000 rands for initial costs so that you can create a profile, a prototype, whatever you want to make, so you can test the market. Because before you know something's going to sell, you have to be able to test it if it works. So you go through the alpha stage where you test and go through the beta stage where you test at a larger portion. You see, you're growing slowly. Whatever that you want to make, whatever service you want to start, you start local, you grow it like that, and then you see if it works or if it doesn't. If it doesn't, you've only lost 1,000 rands. Now I know that's a lot of money for some people, but in relative terms, the potential of what you can make from a good idea, that's nothing. So if it's a good idea and then it starts giving you income returns, you feed back into your own business. That's it. The hustle is to just keep injecting and reinvesting back into yourself. The problem most people have is that they get stuck here. Once they start making a little bit of cash, they start spending the cash that they're making, which is a mindset that we all need to change. You need to change this thing of having to show that you're doing good. You need to understand that whatever you're creating, the profits that you're making are not your profits. They are the profit of the business. Now, once you move on from this stage, you go into the gradual purchasing of assets. So now you've identified the people that you can sell to. An asset is anything that you own that offers returns continuously. It can be physical assets, meaning things that you own. It can even be personnel assets where you get employees, or even, which is even better for our own communities, is if you motivate other entrepreneurs who can be able to help you and say, hey, my business supplies this and this and this. You have a bakkie or a van that you're not using, or that you're using but not utilizing for its benefits. If you deliver for me to my supplier, like not to my supplier, man, to my wholesaler, or to the shop, or to wherever, if you sell it, like send it for me, I'll pay you so much every month from the profits that I'll be making. Now you're encouraging other entrepreneurs to start their own businesses to help your business. And what you're doing is you're creating a network of supply. You're creating a network where a community is feeding each other and uplifting each other by paying each other. And that's something that we all need to like really stop doing, which is not paying our people. I don't know what it is with, and I'm gonna be blunt with this, African or black people. Dude, I don't know why we like cry over paying our own people, but we need to get used to the payment and not trying to weasel out of a good, bad price, whatever it is. My guy, this person is also trying to grow their business just like you. This person is also trying to get established just like you. So don't be afraid to pay as long as the relationship is growing, because that's another thing that we need to learn from these people. They establish relationships over price. Money comes and goes, but a relationship is solid, because there'll come a month when you can't pay them. And if you have a good, solid relationship, they'll let it go. They'll be like, no, it's cool. This month, I'll let it slide. You can cover me 2 months from now, or whenever the network is back up. But right now, I'll help you by sending it for you, because I've already made so much profit from you. And thank you for that, you know? Now, what you're doing is you're establishing an ecosystem which is healthy and thriving. And that's the thing that we all need to focus on, building this ecosystem. Now, once you've grown like that, all you do, legit, is just keep repeating this just at a larger scale. You keep purchasing more assets, you keep growing your income. And then we're gonna go into, well, basically financing for more things. To grow to scale, you need financing, but at a reasonable portion. Please check out my other channel, Vukasakhecapital. I don't know, actually, might be this side, I don't know. But Vukasakhecapital, where we talk about everything financially based. Like we talk about assets, we talk about, and we're gonna get to more videos on that channel. So please like, subscribe to that channel as well. We're gonna be talking about credit, we're gonna be talking about systems of reinvesting into yourself and how to do it as a business person. So yeah, guys, if we keep doing these things over and over again, I genuinely believe our own communities could benefit. And it's not gonna happen in 5 years. It's probably not even gonna happen in 10 years. But 15, 20 years from now, I think that's a large potential where we grow this middle class in South Africa. So our own society can be able to do greater and better things. Because as South Africans, there's a lot of potential amongst us. It's not that we're stupid. It's not that we're dumb. It's not that we're lazy. It's just that we haven't been exposed to the right way of thinking. And we need to learn from history so that we can understand where we are today relative to the global growth and be able to create systems that work for our markets. Because we're not like America, we're not like Europe, we're not like China, but we can learn from Europe, America, and China and all these places, and then be able to create our own system of doing things that benefits our own people. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. As I said, this series is gonna go into more things and communications where we talk about building together. This is a building series. We're going to be starting foundation up and moving on forward, changing the right thinking and mindsets when it comes to building together. Please stay tuned. Please do hit the like button for this video. Hit subscribe, as well as basically share this link, share this community, this information with our people. That's the best way to motivate and encourage people to basically implement all of these things. Because like I like to say, let's grow together. If you have any questions or queries, again, please hit me up on my social media on Facebook or Instagram under the tag @masonabechobonga or Vukasakhecapital. Hit me up on my email, which is vukasakhecapital@gmail.com. Check out our podcast as well. We're on Spotify, Apple Play, and a bunch of other platforms. It's called Adulting 101, where I basically talk to a couple of guests and people. Unfortunately for now though, we're still on pause due to the lockdown, but everything's gonna go back to normal as soon as things try to go back to normal. And yeah, I just hope that this video benefited you. And more than anything, I hope that you're able to do something with it, so that as a people we grow and we do something meaningful to benefit everybody. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Cheers.